Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I hope all of you are doing well. So today I'm back with another swatch interview, this time from a collection from Broken Pixel. Full disclosure right off the bat, I was gifted this collection. I know that it's oftentimes hard to not be biased when you're gifted a collection, but I'm going to do my best. So this collection is going to be part one of the Moonlight Legends series. So I guess Michelle, the maker of Broken Pixel, is going to be coming out with two more parts. So this is just part one. And she named this collection About Throughout the Galaxy. Right off the bat, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I'm always a fiend for anything rainbow, and that is something that is captured in this collection. I really, obviously, I really love that. And this collection is just interesting because I think, like, I kind of unboxed it as kind of like a surprise to myself every time I, picked one and would swatch it and kind of play with it. And there were definitely some really unexpected favorites, like the ones that I thought I would like lean into. Um, they just, I don't know. It's like the ones that the ones that I thought I wasn't going to be as into are the ones that ended up being my favorites. So, in order to just like pick favorites, I did decide to do a top three, but honestly, these are all gorgeous polishes. But there are three that I think I would rank as my top three. There's definitely a number one, then there's like two that are tied for second and third, and then tied for fourth and fifth. So, just to get right off the bat, get into swatches. The first one I swatched was Fiery Precision. Really, really gorgeous red. It's like a little bit of like a burnt red, or maybe even like, I don't know, like an orangey red, but there's definitely a muted tone to it, and also has this beautiful, like, bright shimmer that kind of adds that like fire element to this polish. One of the things that Michelle told me when she was like when we were talking about, like, me getting these polishes, was that she did note that they were all pretty sheer and would have to be built up in like two or three coats. And so I definitely think that was intentional. And the thing that like that adds, because I know that's something that's a nuisance to have to wear a polish in three coats, but the beauty in that is that it kind of like adds all this like depth in terms of the shimmer and the color that you wouldn't get otherwise. So I don't know, in terms of like the final result, I think that the sheerness lends itself to this really beautiful end product, or this end like visual. And you can kind of see that here. I feel like these swatches are all on point in terms of like color correctness. Like what I see in this video is also what I see in real life. So definitely take that how you will. Of course, I'm a much like medium to deep skin tone, especially now in the summertime. So take that into account as well. But yeah, this was definitely one of like a really stunning polish. It did not make it into my top three. I also include swatch photos just so you can kind of see what it looked like when I applied it, not under the constraints of trying to film a video. And then I also wanted to do some comparisons to other polishes. I don't have any perfect dupes of any of these polishes in my collection, but I kind of want to give context for where the color fell in comparison to other polishes. And so I chose to use these silicone discs to swatch the colors on. But if you have like a better idea, definitely let me know. The one thing I'm trying to avoid is like buying a bunch of like swatch wheels and just generating waste. And so I kind of felt like this was like a good way to do that. Although the one thing to keep in mind is that this does not do a polish justice, and also it does not accurately always reflect how a polish will look on the nail. But I think that's also true for swatch wheels and swatch sticks and things like that. So take that how you will. I'm open to like feedback or other like alternatives. But yeah, so I just picked out colors from my collection that I thought might be really close. And honestly, like I said, there were no perfect dupes. Out of the two that we're seeing so far on the screen, the middle being Fiery Precision and the one on the left being Hollow Taco's Bricked Wall, I feel like those are very similar in tone. But of course, Hollow Taco Bricked Wall is a cream and it's much more pigmented. But like in terms of the base tone, I think they're very, very similar. Um, and then the rest of these were a little too pink in tone, like not so much red. Polished Mushu has this beautiful like blue green shimmer in it, so it's not a dupe. I also wanted to compare it to Broken Pixels I'm Ron Burgundy, which is another red with blue shimmer in her in Michelle's catalog and Broken Pixels catalog. It again has that like deeper muted red, but it's a little more like there's a little bit of a blue in it compared to Fiery Precision, which kind of leans, I think, a little more like warmer orange. So I just figured I would throw in a comparison. But they both have that muted element and muted quality. And again, because of the sheerness, I will try to build up the ones from the collection into two coats just because I know it's not a fair comparison because I'm showing all the other ones in one coat. But given that these were intentionally sheer, I think it gives you a better idea of the color comparison if I were to build up the ones from this collection in two coats. So here we go. Again, this is looking at it straight on. So again, it does not do these polishes justice. I do have a clip later on where I kind of show it up at an angle so you can see more of the shimmer. And I totally forgot to annotate Kathleen and Co. But again, this one's just too much of a pink polish to be compared. But I think I picked these just because in the bottle they kind of have this like fiery quality. But again, on swatch, you can kind of see that they're definitely different. And I would say, like, to me, in my eye, Holotaco's I'm Rover It and Holotaco's Bricked Wall are kind of the ones that I feel like are in the same color family as Broken Pixels Fiery Precision, in my opinion. But let me know what your opinion is, if you agree or not. And then again, this is where I'm holding it up more at an angle just so that I can kind of capture more of the shimmer. Um, because yeah, like there's just certain angles and certain lighting that show polishes, in different ways. And I'm sure all of you know that if you're watching this. All right, this next one is called Starlight's Eternal Kiss. And this was definitely in my top three favorites. I think like my like assumption was that this one was going to be one of the favorites that like everyone was going to be purchasing, everyone's going to be buying. Again, how can you not like it? It's pink. It has like pinky, like I think it's like a magenta base, and then has like these rainbow glitters, and it has flakies. And again, the reason why this is such a like unique addition to my collection is because of those flakies. I don't usually go for flakies, but this one's just so pretty, and it's like a little bit of a dopamine hit right out of the bottle. And so again, it has those like blue kind of micro flakes, and some like rainbow like micro flakes. I think. But yeah, I like would not be surprised if this was one of the ones that sold out or sold the most um, out of this entire collection, just because I feel like anything pink with like blue shimmers or blue flakies is like just a fan favorite. And again, what you're seeing here in the swatch is actually like true to life. Like I feel like this is what I see when I'm actually looking at the polish in real life. And yeah, me trying to be perfect. um, but yeah, and again, these all I feel like I built them up in three coats, and that was like a coverage that I was happy with. Again, I'm very much okay with like sheer polishes. I think they're really pretty in their own way. Um, but if that's not for you, then you might not like these. And this is my swatch. And again, this is more of a macro. I kind of wanted to capture all the different colors, but um, I think that like my swatch of it is more true to life. And here are all my comparisons. Again, I did not have a perfect dupe for this polish in my collection, but I did have polishes that kind of felt tonally similar. So, for example, Cracked Kissing Cupcakes, I kind of felt like it had a similar like base color, a similar pink. And then the other thing I was thinking was like, because these have flakies in them, I wonder if you like crushed up all the flakies and if you grind it up and like turned them into shimmer particles, if then it would actually be a dupe for some of the other polishes that I'll be showing in my collection. But again, obviously, I'm not sure. And obviously, flakies are different than shimmers. So you have to take it how it is. Um, but yeah, really, really beautiful polish and no dupes as far as I'm concerned. But again, I think it's tonally similar to Cracked Kissing Cupcakes. And I also wanted to compare it to Broken Pixels Teeny Bopper, which I think is a little bit more of a cooler leaning pink, whereas Love Wink is sorry, Starlight's Eternal Kiss is more of like a warm leaning pink. And then I also just included a swatch of Orally. I'm in the process of trying to replace all my Oralies for like similar dupes. This is not a dupe, but I just wanted to show it to provide context. Again, not a brand that I support, but I'm slowly trying to replace them as I find true dupes for all the polishes. It's always wild, like looking back at footage because like you can see that my little like wheel, like little circle disc thing that I'm swatching on is so like caked with other like flecks of polish. Um, so pardon that, pardon me. I hope like in the future that it gets better and the quality of my presentation gets better. But I'm trying to give myself grace because I'm new to this and it's just a creative outlet for me. And yes, I'm trying to show like all the shifts in it, but again, like this is looking head on at the swatch as if I was like you're on the table and looking straight down at it. So it really does not do the swatch justice, but I have an upcoming clip that will kind of show it more at an angle. And I feel like, yeah, this is a little bit more accurate to like all the different colors and shimmers that you see in each of the polishes. All right, this next one is called Harp's Rhapsody, and it is a blue, like a, I don't know, like in the description, Michelle calls it like a cobalt blue. But to me, like, I guess like when I was envisioning this, when she first released descriptions, I kind of wanted this to be a little bit more of a saturated blue. I recently posted a swatch of Cirque's Blue Rhapsody, and I don't want it to be that deep, but I feel like it was like that tone of a jelly or maybe a little lighter, somewhere in between this and that. I think like that's the one edit I would make to this color. This did fall in the top one of the top three of my favorites out of this collection. But again, that's just like a personal edit that I would maybe have made to this polish if I was like the one making it. Which, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I still really love this polish, but that's like I think what I was expecting in my head when I when the descriptions were released. But still very stunning. Does have to be built up in like I would say 3 coats, given the like on my nail length, but it may be different for other people. But this again is another flaky, and I think that's what makes it truly unique to my collection. I'm kind of trying to show it at more like extreme angles so you can capture all the flakes. Um, but the flakes kind of shift between like blue and green and pink. And I think that there's a little bit of hollow in this as well. And now we're going to get into swatches. So as I said before with the last polish with Starlight's Eternal Kiss, I feel like this is another one where if I were to like grind up all the flakes into like a shimmer particle, then I would definitely have dupes of it. But because it's a flaky polish, that's the reason why it's unique to my collection. Because I don't usually gravitate towards flaky polishes. I mean, that's starting to change a little bit, but like in general, most of my polishes are shimmers. But this is one example where I think like if you were to again grind up all those particles, it would be very similar to this one by Victorian Varnish. This is Kaleidoscope. Again, I think this blue is a little more like saturated, maybe a little more deeper. So not an exact dupe by any means. Um, the names of the Lin B polishes always make me laugh because it's like I'm just a pool boy. I did shorten the name. But this one also like was very similar to Kaleidoscope and not so much Harp's Rhapsody. Bow Revs. I love Bow Revs. I feel like this one, if I remember correctly, was close to like the base color was closer, especially once you get Harp's Rhapsody in 2 coats. Um, but I guess not quite. I guess we'd have to see it in 2 coats for me to make that determination. But yeah, the rest of these were a lot deeper in tone. So definitely not dupes. I think there's Um, I feel like this one kind of has that like it's like a more of a muted blue. And actually it's like interesting to do it this way because I'm also seeing like, potentially other dupes. Like I feel like the Linby designs and the Cleonat, oh my gosh, Cleonata are very similar. And they might even be close to dupes. Um, Cracked lazy lilac, I still like it looks pretty similar actually, but in the bottle it like kind of reads as more like purple, whereas here it's kind of showing as more blue. So I think that's interesting. And then I also just want to show it against some creams. This is like from the dollar store, I believe. I got this in a D stash, like a mystery D stash. But I just wanted to show tonally how it compares to some of the other blues in my collection. I should have chosen some lighter blues actually, um, because I think that would have given some more context. But given that this is described as like a cobalt blue, I was kind of choosing those like kind of deeper, like more saturated blue shades. And something to note too is like as my skin moves in and out of the camera, it kind of like messes with the lighting situation. So like my camera's adjusting as the colors in the frame shift from my skin tone because I'm like it's such a high contrast between white and like my skin tone. So that's what you're seeing there. And yeah, with two coats, I think it's a little more like clear that like to me, Bo Rev's Wide Awake is like kind of tonally similar to Harp's Rhapsody. But surprisingly, also Cracked Lazy Like Lilac also feels like tonally similar. But yeah, here you can kind of see more of the like shift in the shimmers and the flakes and things like that. So um, yeah, again, like this is not the best way to do it, but I think it does give you a good idea of like the color context. And then here I'm holding it up at an angle and you can just see a little bit more of the shimmer a little bit better. All right. Me trying to clean up my workspace. And so this is not the last one, but this is Leaves of Oak. Um, this one I think is the one that I probably had the closest potential dupes to. But I think the thing that like always stands out with this polish to me is that it's a multi-chrome, which I didn't do the best job of capturing. It also has these like holographic like microflakes in it. I think that's like what always stands out to me when I'm looking at the bottle. Um, Again, really beautiful. I'm always up for greens. I did not put this in my top three, but like it is a beautiful color. Like I think Michelle did such a good job with this collection that every single color is pretty, and I feel like there's something for everyone in this collection. But like in terms of my ranking system, I try to choose half the collection, and I was like generous with myself in giving myself three and not two. And so just like based off of those logistics and those like parameters, this does not fall in my top three. But this is one of my favorite collections that I've gotten so far this year. So take that how you will. And in general, Broken Pixel has like it's a newer brand. Like I'm new to the nail polish space in general, but like Broken Pixel in terms of like one of my first exposures to a smaller indie brand, I feel like she does such a great job. Like I have so many polishes from her that are truly unique, that are just like gorgeous, like mesmerizing like, when you put them on. Like Outrunning Karma by Broken Pixel, oh my goodness, like one of my favorite polishes. Like that one I just like will think of randomly on a random day. And then this photo of the swatch is like not the best because it's a little bit blurry, so please forgive me. But again, the swatch where I'm actually painting on my nail is I think true to color. And then also like the one thing I forgot to mention is that this does have like a multi-chrome where to me into my eye it kind of shifts into this like purple. So that's something to note. And then in terms of color, something I want to talk about is because like this color feels muted when you look at it, but there is like this like brightness in it, and I think it's like there's like gold shimmer or like maybe it's gold shimmer. I'm not sure, but there's like this like brightness to it. So like the base feels very muted, but then like even though it's muted, it feels bright. So yeah, and I wanted to compare it to Broken Pixels Gone Antiquing, but that one definitely has more of like a blue tone base. And then LBD Purrs, oh my gosh, I can't speak, is a little bit more like brighter, more saturated, and also a little bit more blue leaning. Um, Carol, or what is it called? Colors de Carol Unconventional. I felt like this one was a close dupe, but this is not the one I'm thinking about in terms of dupes because this one has like reflective shimmers in it, so that's kind of what makes it stand out. And all the rest of these I think are just a little too like bright, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But this one, this Polish for Days, Everyone Deserves a Chance to Fly. I felt like this one was the closest dupe to it. So like I feel like Leaves of Oak is like related to the Colors de Carol and the Polish for Days um, in terms of like similarity. But like the Polish for Days, I think has that same like undertone and that multichrome, that purple multichrome like effect, and also has this like the brightness from the shimmer. But then Colors of Carol, I feel like is very similar in terms of like the base color, but it just has like more reflective particles in it. And then this is me holding it up at an angle just so you can kind of see. Again, no perfect dupes, but I just feel like the Colors de Carol and the Polish for Days are related. They're not like sisters or brothers, but they might be like cousins. All right, this one, Love Wink. This was my number one favorite, and it was just so unexpected. I think that's what made me really enjoy it. I don't know if this swatch is going to do it justice, but it has these gorgeous like shimmers in it that kind of like feel like I don't know, like orangey red and like green. I really hope like this. Yeah, you can kind of see it on the brush. Like there's like these coppery, like reddish, orangish, like shimmers, and I feel like in real life when you're looking at this, especially when it's like in the sun, oh my goodness, it's like so beautiful. And I think like again, I build this up in three coats whenever I was wearing it, and also in the swatch. But there's still a sheerness to it, and I think that that's like kind of what adds to its overall beauty because I personally appreciate that. I feel like it allows you to kind of enjoy the depth of all the shimmer in all the different layers of this polish. And so yeah, like this is like hands down my favorite. And again, like I said, it was just so unexpected. Like I was not expecting to like the yellow. I was expecting to like the blue and the green and the pink, but like yellow usually falls flat for me, but this is hands down one of my favorite yellows in my entire collection. And yeah, on the brush you can definitely see all those different shimmers, but like imagine that but on your nails in the sunshine. Oh my gosh. Yes, hands down my number one favorite from this collection. And honestly, I did not have a lot to compare it to in my collection. We'll get into that in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, it like looks like water. And here, this is like not the best shot, but I think the thing that this shot gives you is like all the different colors of glitter that are in the polish. All right, starting out, and again, like this is gonna be almost like nothing because it's such a sheer polish. So again, the swatch does not do it justice. What you see on my nail and the nail swatch are like what you should use as your frame of reference. But I figured again, this is the only way that I can kind of show the like color context. But yeah, first I wanted to show it to another Broken Pixel polish, What's in the Mustard, which I feel like is like an iconic shade from them at this point, even though they're small. But like it's an iconic shade. But again, that one leans like more pale. And it definitely has like I think a white in the base. And then Cracked Gilded Edges. I really thought that this was gonna be more similar because in the bottle they feel very similar, but without like all the glitter. Like I think the glitter in Broken Pixel is just a little bit more chunky, and Cracked is also more like pigmented of a yellow. Um, and when I say chunky, I don't mean like chunky, but it's like you can definitely see the glitter particles in Love Wink. Whereas in Cracked Gilded Edges, like whatever shimmers in there is definitely more like fine and maybe one toned. like it matches the tone of the rest of the polish. But these are my comparisons. The cream yellows, Morgan Taylor's Do the Tangle. Again, I do not have anything like this in my collection, so take that how you will. But yeah, these are my I guess comparisons for this gorgeous color, Love Wink. And yeah, I added a second layer to What's in the Mustard just because there's this gorgeous pink shimmer in it, and I just want to make sure that was like coming through on camera. Not that this is about that polish, but I think it's important to like highlight those things. And then this is like the comparison up at an angle, so you can kind of see all the different, like, oh my gosh, look at that pink shimmer and the mustard color. And yeah, this is like the final, my swatches. Love Week was my favorite, of course, and then the pink and the blue came in third and or second and third. But overall, really beautiful and solid collection. Let me know what you think and give me, feedback on how I could potentially make these kind of videos better. I hope all of you are taking well or taking care. Wow. And I'll see you next time. Bye.